Hi, everybody. Thank you so much for your patience on that. Welcome, welcome. Good morning. I'm going to give people just a couple of minutes to get in, and I think we will be good to get started.
Okay. Good morning, everyone.
If you want to introduce yourself in the chat, say who you are, where you're tuning in from, and maybe any sessions that you've come to this week and an insight from it.
Oh, yeah, that's good. So my name is Adeola Ariyo, and I also go by D, just in case you see that. Let me actually change my name in the chat window here. All right. So I'm so glad to have you here. This is my second time speaking at the DC Startup Way conference, and it's always awesome. I've been part of the conference for the past 2 days myself, and I think I've enjoyed a lot of the sessions. I attended the one that has to do with sales, the sales funnel. I also attended the personal branding one, which is one of my favorite topics, and that was awesome. So today, I'm trying to see if everyone is in, and can everyone see my screen? If you can see my screen, let me know.
Yep.
You can?
Yeah, we can see your screen.
Okay, great. Let me get the present. Okay, great. All right. So this morning, I would like to share on how we can use TV media to build your brand authority and gain more clients and partners. So what I usually like to do is to have anyone, if you like to type in the chat window, I'm going to try to see if I can see the chat window at the same time. And if you'd like to share with us that if you were to gain a TV segment or you secured a TV segment, what do you think that would do for your business and your brand? So let's kind of go ahead and type in the chat window. Let me know what that would look like in your business if you were to secure a TV segment. Okay. Let's see. I'll open the chat window here too so I can see at the same time. Okay. So Crystal says she loves all the sessions and she's learned so much. Kiana says she's the founder and CEO of Oopsies, I believe. Happy to meet you. And someone is Danielle is from view3d.tv. That's awesome. Okay, great. So I think I'm just going to go ahead and just speak because I think my Zoom has it's a life of its own. It's just going to the next session. So let me go ahead and introduce myself. My name is Adeola Ariyo, like I said earlier. I'm the founder of the Gemz, and I'm also a business and brand strategist with AE Consultants. So what I really do is help entrepreneurs launch and build profitable brands. So pretty much so they can secure and attract their dream clients and partners. And you might wonder, like, so what does that have to do with media, right? If you're building, if you're helping brands to launch and be profitable, what does that have to do with securing TV segment or securing some kind of media coverage? And I'll tie that together in a minute. So I'll kind of give you a backstory about myself. Like I said, I've been in business for the past 12 years, I'll say. I started off in the nonprofit industry for a minute, and then I went into consulting as a for-profit business about 4 years ago. And so I don't know if anyone can relate here about how you're very good at what you do, right? You know you're good, but sometimes you wish a lot more people know who you are. Or for those that are speakers or want to actually um, establish their brand so they can attract partners and sponsors, you would like people to know more about you. So that way, when you apply for a pitch competition or you apply to be a sponsor somewhere or even apply for a speaking engagement, your application or your proposal can stand out. So I'm always very particular about encouraging entrepreneurs to make sure that as you build your business, make sure that you're building your personal brand at the same time. And one of the ways you can do that is to ensure that you leave your digital footprint. I guess, I always say like back in the days, I think maybe as early as 20 years ago, Most people didn't care about the founder or the CEO of Coca-Cola or Starbucks. But now we know things have changed. For every brand and every company, people want to know who the founder is. They want to have an idea of who you are. They would like to know about, what you do. So that's why securing TV media is very, very important. So I see that someone said in the chat window that she would like to secure media attention so she can actually gain exposure. That's good. That's awesome. Anyone else in the chat window? Let's see. Okay. So same thing, exposure. Okay, great. So what can securing your first TV media segment do for your brand? We just talked about that. It helps you to get exposure, and it helps you to establish credibility, right? I already introduced myself, so I'll keep going. So why do I get to talk about this? I know people ask me that question a lot. First of all, I've been able to secure several TV segments, and with 8 of them within the last 14 months for myself. And then I've also been able to help my clients secure TV appearances in their own local cities, right? I've also consulted with over 62 business owners and helped them launch and build a profitable brand within the past 4 years. I've also partnered with over 32 corporate partners and sponsors within the past 4 years. And I'll tie that to how this is tied to me getting TV exposure, if that makes sense. So here are some pictures. Ignore, it's still the same person. The hair might look different, but still the same person. So here are some of the recent TV segments that I was able to secure. And I'd like for you to pay attention to what's under each of the caption. If you look at the left, you see something that says youth about entrepreneurship. If you look on the right, you might see wealth and wellness. If you look at the one in the middle, you might see inspirational speaker, right? Because those are all the different titles that I kind of actually, that those are the different hats that I wear, right? But as I build my personal brand, I put all of me out there. And that way it helps me to attract a lot of opportunities, right? And I show this picture also because I wanted you to see that it doesn't even matter what it is that you do. It doesn't matter what your business is about. Somebody wants to hear your story. And a lot of the media, they're actually waiting for stories like yours. So whether you're in retail or you're in e-commerce or you're into consulting or maybe you're a corporate executive at your company, it doesn't matter what your background is. The segment producers are always looking for stories that can educate, inspire, or just pretty much just provide value for the audience. Okay, so here's something that says, in a world where your potential clients are given many choices to choose from, right, in the marketplace, and decision makers and potential partners are seeking for what makes you stand out, establishing your brand's credibility and your digital footprint is very important. So this might interest you if you want to increase your visibility and attract more clients, if you want decision makers and potential partners to notice you out of pretty much a lot of people, right? And I always like to say one of my favorite quotes is, stop being the best kept secret. You might be great at what you do, you know you're awesome, but enough people need to know about you. And one of the fastest way that you can increase your visibility is to securing TV segments. And I'll come back and tie how that can actually come back to benefit your business in a minute. So we talked about this already. Okay, so what can securing your first TV media segment do for your business? Number one, it's obvious. It helps you to increase visibility. So what that means is that I know there was a time that I had a campaign going on in my business, right? And I actually had a segment on TV. And at the end of the segment, there's always a call to action. It's a little subtle. It's very soft. It's not like a hard, it's not a very hard sell. And I talked about what I had coming up. And I was able to give my website. By the time I drove back home from, I think, Arlington, Virginia, here in the DMV area, I'd actually gotten about maybe 62 new leads in my funnel just because of the TV coverage. So this allows you, it helps you to increase your visibility a lot. The second thing is, it helps you to establish your credibility. There's something that happens, I don't know what it is, with when people see people on TV, for some reason, it helps you to, um, it makes you appear like an authority in your industry. People just assume that she must be an expert or he must be an expert because he's on TV, even though it's 3 minutes, but those 3 minutes usually go a long way, right? So this is the second reason why you want to, attend TV. So here I talked about some of the ways, that this can actually help you to increase your income and attract more opportunities. Number one, speaking opportunities. So I don't know, has anyone ever tried to be a speaker? Is anyone a speaker in here? Have you spoken at maybe conferences or webinars or seminars, or you're trying to get into the speaking industry? You have? Okay. Yeah, Corey, yeah. Okay. Anyone else? Or you want to? Okay. So sometimes if you're trying to get into the corporate, maybe you want to be a corporate trainer or you want to get into the speaking industry, either as as a conference keynote speaker or as a panelist, and you're just starting off, a lot of time they will ask you to send them your deck or if you have a speaker reel, right? And think about it. If that's your first time trying to get into the speaking industry and they're asking you for a speaker reel, a lot of times we don't even have anything to give, right? And I've seen some people having to go and put a conference together or a meeting together, get a videographer, get a photographer to record them, and they send that. If you've actually secured, if you've been on TV a few times, even one time, if you put that in your speaker reel and submit that, it gives you a better chance because they're thinking that if a local TV station can trust you enough to put you in front of thousands of people, then you should be fine being able to speak at their events or training their people, right? The second thing, it helps for corporate clients also. Because, like I said, usually when you're on TV, it's more like an expert sort of discussion, if you notice, right? It's not a conference that it's not a feel good kind of speaking, right? It's more like an expert. They ask you questions about your industry. Or if you have a conference coming up and you want to talk about that, you do, but you have to tie it into your area of expertise. So that it can actually open the door for more corporate clients. The third thing, it actually helps your SEO. So it allows increased traffic, to gain more clients. A lot of times when you've been on some local channel, what happens is that if somebody goes and types your name in Google or wherever it is, your name will automatically come up. And that ties back to what I said earlier about increasing your digital footprint. Of course, the next thing is more media opportunities. Once you've gotten one or two going on, it's easier to pitch other local stations, right? And of course, the last one is market, which means that you're able to market your products or service and you're able to gain people's trust, right? Okay, Crystal, I see that you said you want to. Yeah, this is a good way to kind of get in. So the third reason, the third thing that securing a TV media segment can do for your business or brand, like we said earlier, is to establish your authority. It helps to establish your authority because now, like I said earlier, they see you as an expert. You're calm, you're sitting on the couch usually, or you might be standing up if you actually have a product and you're on TV to talk about your product. Sometimes they have you go over your products, you're displaying it, you're talking about it. Or if you have a service-based business, you usually sit it and you're having a one-on-one conversation. And that just automatically makes you, it automatically establishes your authority in your industry. Okay, the last one is actually it gives you more business opportunities, like I said earlier. There's just something about it. It opens more doors for you, like I said, because usually anytime I send a pitch deck anywhere, I put all the links to everywhere that I've been, right? So I'll go over that real quick again. So increased visibility, it gives you credibility, it establishes your authority, and it gives you more opportunities. Okay. Who can use TV media to grow their brand and increase their visibility? Small business owners, which I'm assuming all of us on this in this session is, nonprofit leaders, thought leaders, experts, corporate executives, right? Even I've seen one of my clients that actually, she's been a stay-at-home mom and she's now trying to get into starting her own business. But guess what she did? She was able to pitch and educate, and submit a topic about how people can help their kids homeschooling and distance learning right now with everything going on. So she doesn't even fall into any other categories here, right? But because she has an experience of being home for the past, I think, 8 years or so, and she's been homeschooling her kids, she was able to pitch and she secured, um, a media opportunity in Chicago. Okay. So I'd like to talk about some of the factors that I'd like for you to consider when you want to pitch to, to get to secure a TV segment. And please feel free to interrupt me, type in the chat window. I'll pause in between to see if anyone has any questions. It's a smaller group today, so we can make it very intimate, and you can ask any question you want to ask me. So when you want to pitch to secure a TV segment, what are some factors that you want to consider? Because, for example, if each local TV has a demography of their audience, believe it or not, right? So you want to pay attention to the kind of coverage that they cover, right? Let's say you want to pitch to, I don't know, maybe ABC7, for example. You probably, I'm trying to see what topic they don't cover. Well, they're more lenient, so they might not be even a good example, but pay attention to the kind of stories and needs that they cover. That will give you an idea of who the audience is. So you want to make sure the first thing is the audience. Does the station's audience match your target audience or your target clients? Because there's no point in just speaking just for the fun of speaking, right? The second thing is the value. What value will the audience gain from your segment? So when you want to pitch, you want to talk about your audience, sorry, their audience, and how you think this topic will benefit them. The second thing is the value. What value would the audience gain from your segment? So for example, like I'll give the example again, a lot of people are juggling work-life balance right now. This is a good time to pitch about how parents can juggle homeschooling their kids and also running their business, right? So those kind of topics would be picked up easily. Or it could also be talking about starting your own business. That now more businesses are opening now because it's easier right now because everything is virtual. So this is the perfect time for people to start their own online business. That could be a good topic, right? So you want to think about it. What value will the audience gain from your segment? So that way when you're pitching, you put the value in front. You just don't come and say, well, I have a launch coming up. I just launched this candle line, or I just launched this plumbing business. And so I like to come on TV, right? That doesn't entice them at all. Because remember, everyone has that sign that says, what's in it for me? So they also have that sign. So you want to come with the value first. Like, what value would the audience gain from your segment, right? The third thing is the relevance. How relevant is your topic to the current climate? So think about it right now. Well, a couple of months ago when everything was on lockdown. So imagine if someone went to go pitch about how you could, I don't know, like something that has to do with people touching each other or how people can actually throw events, physical events, that wouldn't fly because that's not relevant in the current climate, right? So think about it. So anytime you have a topic that you're thinking of, try to see how you can tweak it to match the current climate. That way you can get picked up quickly. Because here's one thing. To pitch a TV segment, they decide quickly. Unlike a print media, like if you want to be in an article in a paper or magazine, that takes a while. They schedule that way ahead, sometimes a month. But for TV, it's really short. I mean, it could be as short as a couple of days, 2 days sometimes a couple of weeks. But even when you pitch way in advance, they will tell you to follow up with them. Because usually what they do, they slot you in to available time slots that they already have, right? So think about the relevance and how relevant your topic is to the current climate. The next thing is the urgency. How urgent is the message? It could have been maybe when I keep talking about COVID. Bear with me. That just the only thing coming to my mind right now. So, for example, when the whole COVID thing happened, imagine if you had some product that can help people disinfect their hands, apart from hand sanitizers, which we all know, right? That's urgent. That will get their attention quickly. So even if you think your topic is not really urgent, try to find a way to make it urgent. By the way you have the topic, maybe um, this product. So you would like to educate, your audience on how this amazing product can save thousands, I don't know, a couple of hundreds of dollars every month because it's cheaper than hand sanitizers and you only need one pump and it lasts for 10 hours. So you kind of tweak the topic to make it sound urgent, if that makes sense, right? The last thing is the call to action. You never want to go get the opportunity, you get on TV, and you don't have any call to action. The good thing about it is that before you get on, they would have kind of given you some of the questions that they would ask you. So you're not just going to get there and be like clueless, right? You guys will work together as far as some of the topics, some of the questions that they can ask you. And if you don't feel comfortable, tell them, can we tweak that a little bit? In the beginning, when I used to get on, I would just take any questions that they're going to ask me, then I'll go figure it out, right? But the past few ones that I did, I just said, can we tweak that a little bit? Because I knew that that wasn't going to benefit me. I didn't say that, but I knew that I had a specific call to action that I wanted to do, and I wanted them to tweak the questions so it can lead me to get to the call to action. And here's another thing you want to put in mind. They don't, when you get on TV, they're not asking you to come and sell, but they're giving you the opportunity to talk about what you have coming up, right? Um, if you have, where can they find you? That's your opportunity to slide in the call to action. So, for example, they might be like, okay, Adeola, great, this is very great. If any of our viewers that are looking right now would like to keep in touch with you later on, where can they find you? At that point, you go like www, blah, 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 right? Or they might say, what do you have coming up? Do you have something coming up? Do you have an event coming up? Do you have a lunch coming up? Whatever it is, they would ask you, right? And at that point, you can now do a call to action. But you don't want to do that in between the segment, if that makes sense, because they're very particular about providing value and educating the audience. Does anyone have any question before I go to the next slide? Any questions? I'll pause for a minute. Okay, I'll assume that's a no. Okay. So here are some tips that I like to also give. You want to start to establish relationships with the decision makers, like literally before you need them. Don't wait till you have um, something coming up before you start reaching out. And the good thing about it is that LinkedIn has made things really easy. I wasn't as active on LinkedIn. I'll be very honest. I just really got on LinkedIn myself. But I usually, if I had a question, I wanted to connect with someone, I would still go on LinkedIn because I've always had a LinkedIn account, right? Or I'll go on Instagram, I'll go look for them. Because think about it, they're just people like us. That's just their job. That's their job title. And their job is to look for news. Their job is to look for different segment topics. So it's not like they're doing you a big favor, right? They also need your story. So start to establish the relationships right now before you actually need them. So by the time you want to pitch, they already kind of know who you are, right? And I'll give you a little secret that I do. So anytime I send a pitch, usually I'll go find the person if I don't know the key person in that local channel. I'll go look for the person and I'll send the person a message, a DM saying, hey, this is Adeola. I just wanted to let you know I just sent you a pitch for, for a potential segment and I wanted you to be able to connect the pitch to the person that sent it. And sometimes they'll come back and smile. Sometimes they'll just give you like a thumbs up and not say anything. And sometimes they'll come back and say, I couldn't find it because they get a whole lot, right? and they'll ask you, can you tell me the name that you're sending from again? So make that connection, right? It's all about networking and establishing the relationship and start adding that to your Rolodex of people that you actually want to keep in touch with. And the second thing is you want to be patient. Patience, patience, patience. A no does not mean a no forever. It could mean not right now. It could just mean keep in touch. It could mean that, it's not really relevant to what we would like to cover right now. So your goal should be to just keep in touch and pitch again, right? One thing I usually do sometimes when I want to pitch and I'm not too sure um, how good that topic might be, I give them a couple of options. And the reason why I do that is that if I only give them one option sometimes and they come with a no, then it becomes a little funny when you go back and say, well, let me give you another segment, let me give you another topic. And then you go over the whole cycle all over again, right? So that's one thing that I started doing recently is that I give them the main one that I have in mind. Then I say this, and I put the second one, I say, this is another option. So, and I've seen a situation whereby they've actually liked the second one than the first main one that I actually pitched. So imagine if I only give them one option and it's just a no, then they'll kind of feel awkward saying, oh, by the way, I have another one, and then you have to go through the whole cycle again. So that's something to put in mind. Come up with two different topics sometimes. And that way, because they're very busy, a lot of the producers, like um, they're on set as early as 5 a.m. and they look at all those things, all those pictures that they get on their cell phone in between their breaks, during their lunch. So you want to make it real brief, but you also want to give them an opportunity to have a couple of choices to choose from. And I always like to say that remember your story needs to be heard. Thousands of people are waiting on the solution that you have to offer, and what your business has to offer, and they can only embrace it when they are aware. So never push back. Don't think your story is not good enough. Don't think, okay, I have to wait till my business is making $1 million, or I have to wait till I'm known, or I have to wait till I have a fabulous website. A lot of times they don't care about that, right? They just care about the value that you want to provide. So we have some time to ask some questions, and then we could even come up with some stories. So we can make it a little bit more interactive. So let me see if anyone has any questions. And then if you don't, I'll ask for a couple of volunteers to kind of let me know what their business is about. And we can come up with some potential stories that might be good for you to pitch. Okay. Corey, can they unmute themselves if they want to, or should we just go with the chat alone?
Yep, I just set it where people can unmute themselves.
Okay, great. Okay, so feel free. Okay, so I said I love that. When pitching, is it pretty similar to press release format? So is it Caitlin or Kathleen?
It's Caitlin.
It's Caitlin, okay. So it's a little different, right? Because usually when you do a press release, you already have the format, right? You already have like the press release written in a way that they can just tweak it a little bit. And if it's very good, if it's good enough, they can actually release and publish it just that way, right? But for a TV, it's a little different. What they really care about, right, is the value. Can you introduce yourself a little bit? Not more than a line or two lines at most. Then you now talk about what you would like to propose and why. That's another paragraph, right, or another line. And then you give them ideas of some of the talking points. That's what they call it. So that way ahead of time, because here's the deal. They're so busy that they don't want to do our job for us, if that makes sense. So they see your pitch and you've already told them who you are. You already told them why you think this is a good topic that people need to hear about right now. And you already told them about some of the questions that they can ask you. You actually put those questions ahead of time. That makes it easier, right? So whereas a press release, it's more like all text, right? And it's not visual. But for a TV pitch, you actually put the visuals there. So I remember the very first time that I actually sent a pitch in. That was about 4 years ago, 3 years ago or so. And they came back and said, "What are your talking segments?" I had no idea what that is. So I went online, I Googled, I'm like, what does that mean? I asked my friends in PR. They didn't know either because some PR are more into like maybe press releases or more print, and some are more into TV. So I had to call and say, "Hey, I this question that you're asking, do you mind just giving me more example? Like, can you tell me exactly what you're looking for?" And so once she explained that to me, that's kind of when I knew that anytime I want to send any pitch going forward, you want to put that in there. So it's a little different from the press release format. Does that help? Does that answer your question?
Oh, absolutely. I'm in the PR realm, so
Okay.
I've always just been a little bit curious.
Okay, yeah, it's usually very short. Like I said, it's very short. And I also say that if you have any assets that you want them to look at, maybe you have a video clip of something you've done in the past, um, or maybe you have pictures that you want them to see, you're not going to put a whole lot in that email. Remember, I said they usually look at their pitch on their phone. So imagine you sending a long email. What happened? They would think automatically, I'll come back to look at this. This is a long thing. I don't have time to read it right now. I'll come back. And that never happens. Because I've been on set quite often that I've seen how they're moving in and out so fast. And they're looking at the email, they're eating, they're talking about it. So imagine if your email is so long. So you try to make it as short as possible, as precise. And then if you have more information that you want them to look at, provide links provide a link in that email, right? So that way they can always click on it to access maybe your Dropbox or your Google folder, and they can see more information. Because most people just put everything in the email, they put attachments and they put all this. And then when they see it, they go like, "Oh, I'll be right back. I'm gonna come back and read this email later." And then you go back to the bottom of their email list. CJG, can you show us an example of a pitch? I can probably I'll give you maybe my email address. If you don't mind, you can send me an email and I can send you one, if that's okay. I could do that. Yeah. I'll put my thing in the chat window. Any other example? And is anybody ready to kind of try? Can we try and oh, we have 2 minutes. So let's just try real quick. Let us come up with a story. Who would like to be my volunteer? So tell me, you're gonna tell me what you do, right? And then you tell me what you think might be a good um, storyline, and then we'll all give you feedback. So who would like to volunteer? And don't forget the key factors that we talked about. Let me see if I can pull that up. Let's see. Okay. So this is some of the factors you want to consider: audience, value, relevant, urgency, call to action. Any volunteers?
I'll go.
All right, Cannon.
Can't say that
Let's
I'm
hear it.
100%
So,
prepared. So my name is Kiana Bowie. I am the CEO and founder of Oopsies. Our target audience would be vehicle owners who are frustrated with having their vehicle towed prior to being notified.
Sorry about that. I don't know what that is.
No worries. The relevance would be to give the
So,
vehicle.
Kiana, sorry, do you mind telling me what you do again? That little drum thing came up and
Oh,
you
no
lost
worries.
me.
So again, founder and CEO of Oopsies.
Okay.
Our audience would be vehicle owners who are just frustrated with having their vehicle towed without acknowledgement, without
Okay.
having the opportunity to address the concern first.
Okay.
So with our company, anyone with a mobile device can simply send the owner a text message and email, quickly letting that owner know that they're needed back to their car for maybe because they left their lights on, or their horn is sounding, or they're blocking someone from a parking space, etc.
Okay. That's a good. So what storyline do you think you can come up with based on what you do? What's the value that your business provides? You just told us, right? But
Yes.
as far as like for TV, for example, what would that be? What would you like to educate? Because so I think what I got from what you do is that you can use that to educate, and you can also use it to kind of tell us about your business. You're
Mhm.
allowed to do that, right? So what's one thing that you like to educate people about with that story?
Sure. The simple fact that so much can happen when you're not at the wheel of your vehicle, and just
Okay.
having that opportunity to address the concern.
Okay. So what I could suggest is that you can probably go online and do some research about maybe how many cars, I don't know, how their batteries run out because they
Mhm.
like have the lights on. Or I don't know if your service actually alerts people when the car is about to be towed. I don't know if it does that too.
Uh, it's on
Um,
the individual to do it
okay,
before calling the towing industry.
okay. So let's
Mhm.
talk about the battery then. So
Okay.
just do some research and see. You might be surprised. Maybe it's 1 million people. Maybe, and then look at how much that cost them, and tie it down to like the budget about a family. If a
Mm.
busy parent or a busy executive is always on the go and they always forget what that could look like, right?
Okay.
Maybe they end up changing the battery 5 times in a year and how much that is and that sort of thing. And then you can now tie it back to your story about how you guys helped to prevent that, you know?
Okay.
So you look at the solution that you provide and you tie it into educating. Because think about it, anytime you're on TV, they really want you to educate their audience
Yeah.
or entertain them. Either of
Okay.
the two, that's it. So do you see how that works a little bit?
Yes.
I know we're running out of time, so I'm looking for Corey to kind of kick us out in a minute. So, but I hope that helps a little bit. Yeah.
It
So,
does.
okay, great. So, irrespective of what your business is about, so imagine if maybe you have a clothing boutique. Your thing might be how to help people dress and look presentable while they're on Zoom. Because most people now they work from home and they have a hard time figuring out, should I dress formal, should I dress casual? And you can bring that to the storyline, how you want to help people to learn how to dress and still be presentable while they're working from home, right? So irrespective of what you do, you can always find a way to tie it to a story that you can pitch, as long as you're providing value and it's relevant to the current climate. Okay. Corey, are we out of time?
Amazing. Yes. Thank you so much,
We are.
Adeola. That was great. And
Okay.
thank you for all the insights. That was a really insightful
Good one.
conversation on how to use TV media to build your brand's authority and gain more clients and partners.
You're welcome.
Adeola, I saw you put your email and
Yeah.
a link in the
So
chat.
yes.
Everyone, make sure
So I
you
have,
grab that if you'd like to
yeah,
get a hold of Adeola after
I have.
this.
Yeah, I have my email address there. So CJG, if you can shoot an email to me, I'll send you an example of a page. And the other link at yolanspires.com/get/on/TV/waitlist. If you go on there and you join the wait list, I can send you some story ideas that you can pitch and some holidays that you can tie your storyline to also. Okay.
Amazing. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Next up here at DC Startup Week, we got a full day of programming. Really excited for some amazing talks today. Coming up at the 10 o'clock hour, we have Show Me the Money, a no BS guide to getting funded. We've got Design Thinking for Entrepreneurship, and we've got How to Create a Strong Brand Around Your Social Impact Company. And later today at 3 p.m., we've got Susan Tynan from Framebridge and Zuharia Scott Washington, SVP of Strategic Partners from Expedia, who are going to be doing a fireside chat. It's going to be a really fantastic conversation. So would love to see you guys throughout the day. And again, Adeola, thank you so much for this great presentation.
Thank you for having me. All right, everyone, have
Absolutely.
a good one. I look forward to hearing about your stories and shoot me an email. And if you secure any kind of TV segment, shoot me an email. I can kind of give you some tips on how to make that happen.
Thank you.
All right, have a good one, everyone.